Welcome. It's my hope that you are gathered with a group of friends right now watching this, or possibly you're watching this in preparation to gather with that group of friends for what could be a rich and important conversation. I thought I'd kick things off here with an acknowledgement of reality. My suspicion is that if you're watching this, many of you don't know exactly what you've gotten yourself into. Maybe a friend gave you the Freebird book, invited you to some sort of discussion group, and you took a risk, and here you are. I love it when people take risks, especially when the risk involves engaging a few friends in honest and open conversation around important topics. So, what is this? What have you gotten yourself into? Put simply, this is a conversation about the intersection of our work lives and our spiritual lives. Now, when you hear that, it's my hope that it makes you at least a little bit nervous. That would tell me that you get it. If I were to tell you that we're going to jump out of an airplane and parachute to the ground and you didn't get at least a little bit nervous, then I'd question if you'd heard what I'd said. Likewise, addressing the intersection of our work lives and our spiritual lives, when you hear that, I hope you wonder a bit, like, what have I gotten myself into here? What is this? If so, that's good, because you're going to enter into a conversation that could profoundly impact your perspective, not just on work, but on life in general. And that's a risky kind of conversation. I hope it gives you at least a little bit of sweat on your palms. Here's what's available to you, though. You're taking a risk. Let me point you toward the potential reward for participating. I've got this picture here. This picture, I'm going to suggest that it represents you, or that it represents me. It represents us. Seems a little odd, I fully admit, but hear me out on this. This picture, it represents the core of our being. It represents what we'll call our hearts, our desires, our longings, our wishes, and our wants. Now, thousands of years ago, an observation was made about our hearts, about this picture. The observation, it begins with three words. It begins with above all else. So just imagine with me for a second that you're sitting with your circle of friends, and there's this ancient sage, this wise old man from a generation long ago. He's present in your circle. And this ancient sage, he points to this picture, and he says, above all else, and then he continues, above all else, guard your heart, guard your picture, for it's the wellspring of your life. Of all the things you could do to take care of you, guard your heart, guard your desires, guard your picture, because it's the wellspring of everything. It drives you. This picture, it represents your heart, your desires, your wishes, your wants, your longings. And for thousands of years, this observation about life, it's been passed from generation to generation. This counsel, guard your heart, guard your picture, protect your desires. Know what's driving you, guard what's driving you, because those desires, they will drive you to do things that bring you life, and those desires, they hold potential to wreak havoc in your life. The reward for the risk you're taking by entering into this conversation is the reward of increasing your ability to do exactly what that ancient bit of wisdom commends us to do. In this conversation about the intersection of our work lives and our spiritual lives, we're going to get after what drives us in life, what motivates us in life, what propels us to do and not do the things that we do. Now, if you've had a chance to read Freebird, or at least part of it, you know that it begins with a conversation amongst friends, a group of friends, Tyler, Blake, Angie, and Doug. They meet once a month at Lola's to catch up and share their lives with each other. It's my hope that your conversation can simply be a continuation of their conversation. So we did something to facilitate that. We brought you to Lola's, and not only did we bring you to Lola's, but we are going to bring you into a handful of conversations at Lola's in hopes that these conversations inspire conversations amongst you and your friends. So with that, let's listen into a conversation amongst our friends from Freebird, and I'll be back briefly afterwards to point us in what I hope will be a meaningful direction.
Grilled fajita party. That's true. Bring over like
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Hey!
What?
Okay, Angie, riddle me this. What would you do if you had $10 million?
Really? You guys aren't even gonna say hi? Ask me how my day was? No wonder you're all still single.
Seriously though, what would you do with $10 million? Would you brag?
Stop. No leading the witness.
Oh, you boys have money on this, don't you?
No, absolutely.
Of course you do.
Nice.
Okay.
Hello.
Smoking gun.
Thanks, Cindy.
And a glass of white wine for the lady. You know, you guys might want to switch it up every now and then. Predictability can be a dangerous thing.
That's the beauty about this place, Cindy. I mean, no matter how much the world changes, we stay the same.
What Tyler means to say is he plans to grow old and fat in the same seat he's been sitting in for the past 4 years. Oh wait, that's already happened.
Would you go eat some bacon, Angie?
Hey, Cindy, what about you? What would you do if you had $10 million?
Shoot, 10 million? All I would need is 10 grand and I would walk out of that door and never turn back. Will there be anything else you need, sir?
Okay.
Well, I would ask the $10 million question, our good doctor here, but it seems he's already living the dream. Out there making the world a better place, and well, he's rich too.
Yeah, no, not really.
Oh, you're not rich.
Well, obviously I'm Rich Douglas. How else to explain the solid gold house and the flying rocket car?
You guys hold down the fort. I'll be right back.
What do you mean by not really?
I just mean I'm not like living the dream.
Oh, the dream.
All right, so what's the dream?
You know, 20-year-old Blake's vision of moving to Africa, setting up a free clinic that provides service for all the children.
Yeah, haha. Make jokes about this if you want. That was actually the primary reason I started med school, in the first place.
But yeah, but you do help people. I mean, you have like the most humanitarian job out of any of us.
So do I actually help people?
The patients that walk through my door, they're just symptomatic of their overindulgent, just pampered lifestyle. And like the prescriptions I write,
Could just as easily be fixed if they just exercised and ate properly.
Come on, it's not that bad. You must be helping some people.
Okay. No, I mean, I do help some people, but it's so few and far between. It's this rare occurrence, like a comet or something. And I don't actually go to work to help people, if I'm being honest. I go so I can pay for my pampered, overindulgent lifestyle.
And your solid gold house and flying rocket car.
I don't know. I guess sometimes I think that idealistic 20-year-old Blake, if he knew me, he wouldn't like me very much.
Well, this is crazy. I mean, most of my life I've been living vicariously through you, and you're telling me you're no happier than the rest of us.
Yeah. Speaking of idealistic 20-year-olds, check out Mr. Letterman over here. What do you want to bet his dad is trying to convince him to be a plastic surgeon?
Dad, I want to join the Peace Corps and save the whales.
Mother and I want you to fix ugly people's faces like we've planned.
But Dad, I don't want to have to study books and the whales are fatty fat
Seriously,
nuggets.
guys, I can hear you halfway across the bar.
Good.
Well, good.
So where were we?
Well, Blake is depressed because he's rich and he doesn't live in Africa. Doug is depressed because he can't live vicariously through Blake. And you still haven't answered our $10 million question.
Oh yeah. Okay. What would I do if I had $10 million? Well, I wouldn't have to worry about running my own business anymore, so I guess probably the first thing I would do is tell all my clients they can kiss it.
Yes! Come on. Oh, pay up. I knew it.
That's amazing. I mean, you even said can kiss it. Did you eat a bug or something?
I'm worried about her, guys.
Well, sometimes life sucks. That's why Prozac is an option.
When did you become a cynic, Doctor?
I don't know. I guess when I realized nothing I do actually matters.
We've been through this. He'd rather be in Africa with the children.
What are you talking about? You do help people.
That's what I said.
You have to be in Africa to make the world a better place?
Okay,
I didn't say I hate my job.
but do you love your job? I mean, you have what most people have worked their entire lives for.
Who actually loves their job? Anyone?
Yeah, but would you do your job if you knew that you could never help anyone anymore? I mean, you already have the money.
That's a better question.
How about this? What would it take for you to walk away from your job right now? What would it take to get you to walk away from everything, from your job, from everything, to go and do something that you thought really mattered?
It's a good question, isn't it? Makes you think a little bit. Maybe the most interesting phenomenon I've noticed in relationship to work is the all too common disillusionment associated with success. We all experience disillusionment from our failures. I certainly have experienced that. I think we're a bit surprised, though, when we discover disillusionment around things going well, around our success. It's the attorney. She's doing exactly what she trained and hoped to do, but right there in the midst of poring over yet another contract, she quietly wonders, is this it? Is this really what I've been working toward? Or as a teacher, he's up in front of the biology class and he's envisioned himself in this very place, watching the light bulbs come on in students' eyes, and he's doing it. He's doing what he trained to do, but it's in that moment that he recognized, this isn't quite what I envisioned. The kids, they don't care about what I'm talking to them about, and they're not interested in biology, and he just gets kind of worn out on it all. Or even those roles we think would be deeply satisfying. The stay-at-home parent, let's say, they're raising the next generation. Surely that would be deeply satisfying, deeply meaningful, and it is. But in the midst of it, how often does that stay-at-home parent quietly wonder if their only worth is picking up after everybody or driving the kids from one event to another? Time and again, I hear this same theme, not just from people struggling in their vocations, but people succeeding in their vocations. It's as if they expected their chosen vocation to deliver something that it's not quite delivering. My question is, what do we do with that? What's that about? Now, this picture we're talking about, the picture that we're to guard, we're to be aware of what drives it, and we're to be aware of what we put in it to satisfy those desires. What do we put into our hearts to satisfy them? Now, Blake, he went to med school, wanted to be a doctor, wanted to make a difference in people's lives that way. He dreamed of that. So we'll put this stethoscope in our heart, in our picture. Tyler, he was an entrepreneur. He went after money. He wanted to make a bunch of money, and so we'll put some money in there. You and I, we've done a variety of things to fulfill our picture, our desires. Maybe we got married, so we'll put a wedding ring in our picture. Or maybe we thought we'll have some kids, so we'll put some kids' toys in our picture. Maybe it's none of that. Maybe that's not it at all. Maybe we've embraced adventure, right? We've been traveling the world. We're flying all over the world, climbing mountains, swimming oceans, all sorts of exciting things that we want to do with our lives. Now, nothing bad here. These are good things. We're glad that we've done them. What's fascinating, though, is the quiet and all too common angst associated with things that go well. We get the angst of things not going well, the job not going well, or the marriage not going well, or the adventures in life not going well. We get why our hearts or our pictures might be frustrated by that. But what about that quiet angst that seems to linger even in the midst of success? What's going on in our picture? What's happening in our hearts there? I'm going to suggest there are at least 3 deep desires in our hearts that drive us, that compel us, that seek satisfaction. You'll have to decide if these 3 deep desires resonate with you. First, I suggest that you and I, we have in our picture a deep desire for protection. By that I mean, we stuff things into our picture to satisfy our desire for our own well-being, right? It's one of the primary reasons why we work. We work because we want a roof over our heads, and we want food on our table, and we want clothes on our back. It's a good and noble desire. We desire protection. It's not all we want, though. A second deep desire, I'm convinced, is our desire for pleasure. We want to enjoy life. We want to climb mountains. We want to swim oceans. We want to eat ice cream. This, too, is one of the reasons why we work. Not only does work provide the means for pleasure in life, but our hope is that there'll be aspects of our work that we enjoy. We enjoy technology, so we work with computers, let's say. Or we enjoy working with people, so maybe we manage teams. Or we enjoy starting things, so we're entrepreneurial. Then there's a third desire. We look around the world and we see needs, right? We want to play a role in meeting these needs. We don't just want protection and pleasure, we want purpose. Maybe we work in a factory and that factory makes a product that meets a need in society. It's purposeful. Or maybe we work as a teacher. We're helping bring up the next generation, helping them learn to read and write and think and reason. Or maybe we work as a salesperson. We sell a service or a product that makes people's lives better. We like that about what we do. It serves a purpose. Now, here's what I'd suggest. Again, you'll have to decide if this resonates with you. I'd suggest that when you pour your job into this picture. Your satisfaction with this job, it goes up or it goes down depending on how well these three desires are met or not met. You may have a job that's high on pleasure. Let's say you're a river rafting guide, taking people down the river. But it's a bit low on protection. It's high on pleasure, but low on protection. Doesn't pay that well. You're okay with that because the degree of pleasure it brings and the fun and excitement it brings to your life makes it worth it. Or maybe you have a job that does a fantastic job with the protection corner. You make good money. It provides very well for you. But it's not high on the pleasure side. You have to weigh whether or not it's worth it to put up with something being low on pleasure because it can do great things for you and on the other corners. Or maybe you have a job that's highly purposeful. You see clearly the difference that you're making in this world. You love that about your job, and you put up with the fact that it's not always pleasurable and it doesn't always pay that well for protection, but you put up with it because it has such a clear and profound purpose to it. Final thought, then I'll kick things out to you for conversation. I get together regularly with a group of 4 other guys. We don't have a big agenda for our conversations, but our conversations are nearly always rich. Each of the guys are business guys, they're leaders in what they do, and they're all very good at what they do. Early on, when we first started meeting, I noticed something. Each of us could make a decent case for how each of these 3 corners were satisfied in our lives. There was adequate protection, there was pleasure in our work, there was even a degree of purpose in what we were doing. Our jobs, they met some sort of need in society, so none of us really had anything to complain about. We didn't really complain. But to a person, myself included, we all express a degree of disillusionment with our work. You know, we'd ask, you got protection, decent protection in your job? Yeah, it's providing for us well. Or there are things you like about your job. You know, nobody likes everything, but it's good. Yeah, it's good. You see your role in the organization. You're playing a purpose in society. Yeah, that's all good. Then why is there still this longing for more? Why is it not enough? What's keeping us, myself included, from not being fully satisfied? That observation, it played a significant role in motivating me to finish Freebird. I had to do a deep dive into my own understanding of this picture and how it might be more fully satisfied. And that's the journey we're on together. I don't know exactly where it will take you and the conversation that you're going to have around this, but I do know that it holds just tremendous potential to be rich and profound. So, let me encourage you to dive in, be open, be honest, and let's see where this goes.